MindfulRealiTea, the channel that covers reality TV or something like that. Basically, it's just my channel. I can't really say what I cover anymore. I cover whatever comes to mind when I turn this camera on, which is probably during the Big Brother season, like 10% reality TV, 90% my life. But what's funny to me is that when I think about my life, I say to myself, if I could actually turn my life into a TV show, a movie, a docu-series, I think people would be just as they would in any TV show. It might not look that way on the outside. Half of it, half of why I wouldn't look that way on the outside is because in the line of work that I do, like me getting here on my YouTube page and talking about the things that actually happen at my job. Like, I talk to you guys about office politics and things like that because I can talk about those things. But if I was to sit there and talk about the actual ins and outs of like what I do on a day-to-day basis, everything is HIPAA protected, so I can't even really elaborate. And then between that and my personal life, the combination of the two, how to get away with murder, like, I don't know, like, it would just be dramatic in ways that you just wouldn't expect. And I don't even know what keeps me sane, or if I'm sane, or if I'm insane, or if insane has become the new norm for me. Because minute by minute, day by day, I don't know if I'm coming or going, up or down, and left or right. I just keep moving. That's it. I just keep moving. Anyways, cowboy caps. Oh, you know what? I didn't even realize that was you, Marshall, with a different name. I kind of was like, I should know who Cowboy Caps is, but I'm not familiar with the name. But then I saw the M in front of it. So, oh, my screen is dirty. There we go. It's still dark, but at least it's clear and dark. Hi, Chocolate. You've been here, what, 2 or 3 of my last 4 lives after a very long absence. I'm not sure why it's not using your other name. Oh, so Chocolate thought the same thing as me. I was like, who is this Cowboy Caps person? But Cowboys Caps is Marshall. Hi, Chase. Yeah, speaking of which, I just watched the end of Squid Game, which they call Season 3. Even though I just consider it 2 seasons that they split up for promo and to try to make some extra money out of it. But the third part, what to me was better than the second part. I'm not really going to give away the spoilers as to what happened in part 3 or season 3, whatever you want to call it. I will say the ending was not what I expected, but it was definitely captivating season. It was a dramatic season. There was a lot of very, very suspenseful moments. There were some predictable ones, but that's because now I have started to watch a lot of psychological thrillers. Because funny enough, I didn't like psychological thrillers for years. And I just started getting into those kind of series, movies and stuff, really mainly into 2020. Because in 2020, when we were at home, and especially here in New York, when everything was on a lockdown, there was nothing to do. And there was no new shows coming out. New seasons of shows were not coming out. And so I was just like, I was telling people, recommend me a Netflix show And even if it's not something that is my norm to watch, I'm gonna open it up and give it a look. So people started sending me, I think How to Get Away with Murder was the first recommendation that I got that was not my typical type of watch. And I couldn't get enough of that show. It was already done, I think, by the time I started watching it. But I binged those 6 seasons in a few days. And they're not short seasons and they're not short episodes. So that's what I just did with Squid Game. I think I started it. Well, I basically saw the whole season today, which is not that huge of a feat because it was, I think, 6 episodes, 6-hour-long episodes. So, I mean, yes, it's 6 hours of watch time, but I have watched 20 episode seasons in a day before. I'm a binger. If it's out, I have a hard time turning it off. Yes, please hit the like button for those who are coming in. Make sure that the math is mathing. Hold on. I'm trying to pin this message and I can't for some reason. Oh, here we go. Alright. I prefer psychological thrillers as opposed to gore. I thought maybe my other name got blocked. Well, Squid Games includes is like part psychological thriller and part gore. That's the way I consider it, because plenty of blood is shed, but it's more about the choices. I was watching this thing at the end where it had the two main characters, the bad guy and the good guy, and the director, and they were all talking about the series, and they were comparing it to like the corporate world and how greed makes people make different choices. And my whole mind spun this thing around to these reality TV shows that I watch, where people always talk about the right way and the wrong way to play the game. And it's like, you could come in there with a theory. Okay, I have the honest way to win Big Brother and be honorable and just and as honest as possible. Like, for an example, to think of Xavier's game. Xavier had a thing about him where he was just like, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to win. But my justification is I'm not going to be mean about anything. I'm not going to be cutthroat. And as much as I can, I'm going to try to let other people make the decisions. Or, you know, like he had a thing kind of like what Chelsea was doing, where he was influential to a lot of the decision-making process, but he didn't want people to think like he was the one pulling the strings. And even the way he played the game, there were still people mad at him and saying that he didn't do it in an honorable way, this and that. So it's just like, I circle around and even bring it back to myself in the corporate world, in my own corporate world. And I say to myself, in every work environment that I have been in, people are willing to do different things to get ahead. And you could stay in the same spot that you are and get stepped on, trying to be like, I stand for truth, justice, and the American way. Like, I'm just now learning how to manipulate the game in some ways. And I hate to even use the word. Hold on. Yeah, I hate to even use the word manipulate, but as someone once told me, manipulate is not always a bad thing. Yeah, manipulate is not always a bad thing. So I've had to learn how to manipulate different situations, how to be one step ahead of the game. When you go into that environment, you've got to realize that there's people that are willing to step on you just to get a little tiny bit ahead of where you are, and you've got to pre-plan on ways on how to counter or get on the defense or get on offense. I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense, but it makes perfect sense to me. I feel like it's not making sense what I'm saying, but I also know what I'm meaning with what I'm saying. So you can have a goal and an intent on coming into an environment and saying, I am not about to change because I am who I am. These are the values that I stand for. Then you're like, wait a minute. I'm doing things the right way, but I'm not getting anywhere. Or you could look at the person next to you and say, how come they're doing nothing the right way and they're moving up the ranks? Like, maybe it requires me to change my strategy. So, I mean, I'm kind of like, I can see myself in the Squid Game guy, to be honest, because at each step of the way, he's looking at what the majority of the people around him are doing, and it's like, I could do this the easy way or the right way. And to be quite honest, typically the right way is not the easy way, especially because not everybody is doing it. Usually not even the majority are doing it. There's like a few people who follow the right path and the majority are not. And for you to do something different requires you to be the odd person out, where everybody's looking at you like, come on, man, just do what everyone else is doing. Why are you making this so hard for the rest of us? For anyone who's actually seen the end of Squid Game, you'll know exactly what I'm referring to. But for those who haven't, I mean, you could still kind of take something from the analogy, I would say. Can I get pinned now for what? Makes sense. I'm glad it's making some sense to somebody, cowboy. Just to give y'all fair warning, I have about 5 minutes before I get back to my house, and likely I'm going to be off in that amount of time. I have a lot of things happening tomorrow, all in my office. Like I said, if I had a camera and some microphones following me around in the office, the things that are happening to me are very entertaining. But when I say they're very entertaining, I mean from the outside looking in, because they're very stressful in my real life. But to somebody who's just observing from the outside, it would be very entertaining to just watch the drama that is my life. And I never go looking for it. It finds me somehow, you know. I'm not going to say I contribute nothing, but just by living and being and breathing and just being myself and showing my personality, those things just put me in the mix of the drama somehow, and I've just grown to accept it. I just grown to accept that that's just a part of my life, that unless I move out of New York and go to the mountains somewhere where there's no people around me, it's just going to be a thing, unfortunately. It is just going to be a thing. And here we are. In about 7 hours, here. Yeah, in about 7 hours. Wait, what time is it? 11:23. In about 8 hours, I'm gonna be sitting at my desk. In about 9 hours, I'm in about 8.5 hours. I'm gonna be starting my new position at work, and in about 9 hours, I'm gonna be in a meeting regarding said position. So, and none of this stuff is slated to go smoothly because of a variety of factors. Once again, I feel like none of the factors being my fault. I don't even like using the word fault. Fault makes it sound like I did something. I have a mosquito bite. Chocolate thinks she's slick. Chocolate does what I used to do when I was a remote worker, where she clocks in and says hi and then disappears and then says she was working the whole time. I see you, Slick. Slick, my friend. Meetings aren't boring. My meetings have some, but not the good kinds. Oops, I definitely muted it. This time y'all got me if you said I muted. Alright. I am headed out. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Night.